Detroit Den 313. Welcome back. Steve here. You know, if you see me, we're going to be talking Detroit Lions football. Tuesday, January 16th. Hopefully everyone's getting back to work. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their Martin Luther King Day if you had one, or if you're, off school. If you're a teacher, you got the day off, enjoy it while you can. But so I want to talk today about some interesting stuff that kind of just got my mind going a little bit. Yesterday morning, I woke up, still high on that Lions playoff win. I woke up and what I wanted to do was, have a nice breakfast, relax a little bit, turn on ESPN. I wanted to see some conversations about the Detroit Lions. I very, very briefly got to even hear the Lions mentioned. Turned on ESPN, First Take, Get Up. All they wanted to talk about was how the Dallas Cowboys lost, which is fine. Whatever. It's the Dallas Cowboys. They're out. Football gods corrected themselves. Lions got 2 home playoff games. Instead of talking about teams that won, like even the Packers, the Lions, the Chiefs, they talked about the Cowboys for 2 hours. But this is a Detroit Lions show, and I'm gonna get to my point here. Talking about the Cowboys, and I believe it was Rex Ryan. They were ripping apart Mike McCarthy and his staff, talking about how they needed to be fired. And I really think it was Rex Ryan. I'm trying to give him some credit because it kind of put this idea into my head. While he was ripping Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys, he said an interesting comment about how you can't bring that staff back while other teams of the NFC plan on sticking around. And he mentioned the Detroit Lions being one of those teams that isn't going anywhere. And it got me wondering, are the Lions on the verge of a dynasty? I'm sorry. The destiny is the Super Bowl. The dynasty is years and years to come of good quality football, multiple championships. Let's hope. But I started thinking, with Rex Ryan saying that, the Lions sticking around, it got me wondering, who's in charge of making that happen? Who's the most responsible for the Lions' long-term sustained success? It's got to be obviously Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Brad Holmes, let's just start with him, man. Watching him after that game on Sunday night, and if you haven't seen the clip of him in the elevator, yelling, screaming, celebrating, pumping his fist, and we've seen that before in road games where he celebrates with the with the fans who have traveled and made the trip. But he's just emotionally invested. But for this to be a dynasty, or for the Detroit Lions to have sustained success for the next 10, 15 years, not making this a 1-year show. He's got to draft, he's got to sign free agents, and he's got to keep guys that are already on the team. Drafting this year, and I'm not trying to get too ahead of myself. So I'm just thinking, we got a lot to play for right now. This is just an episode talking about the future. Hopefully the future ends with a parade on Woodward this year with the Detroit Lions hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. But let's just talk about Brad Holmes and what he's going to have to do to keep this engine going, keep this thing fed, man. He's going to be in a different type of position that we haven't seen from the Lions in a while. I talked about drafting. You got to draft. This year, we're going to be picking in the late 20s. It's kind of a position we haven't been in a long time. I trust Brad Holmes drafting, even if we don't have a top 10 pick, which is perfectly fine. I'll take those picks in the 30s and 32 preferably, which means we won the Super Bowl. But I trust him because of how well he's done later in the drafts with the Amon-Ra St. Browns, the Brian Branches, Sam Laporta's, like second round guys. I have no doubt about it that he could find talent anywhere. Free agents. Another way that Brad Holmes has to keep talent coming, free agents and trades. I'm not going to really talk about trades because those aren't as guaranteed, but it kind of comes to mind Micah Parsons, his comments last year about how nobody wants to go to Detroit. Well, if you're a team right now, who would you rather play for? The Detroit Lions, who are still in the playoffs, or the Dallas Cowboys, who just got absolutely pounded by the Packers? Now, I get it. Detroit's not, Miami or LA. We don't have superstars or nice fancy beaches or anything like that, but we're a hardworking blue collar city. And I think a lot of people in the NFL come from that type of background. So I think this is going to be a destination for free agents. I think people are going to really sit back this year. We're not doing a full free agent show, but I'm just going to say, if you're a free agent and you're looking to get out of the team you're on and you can make an impact, I think the Detroit Lions is one of those teams that's going to be high on a lot of free agents lists because of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and what they have already built here and what they're going to continue to build. So Brad Holmes, phenomenal job, man. Hopefully this thing ends with a Super Bowl, but let's just talk about the future real quick. We have all week to talk about football. We'll figure it out. At the time of this recording, we still don't know if we're playing the Bucs or the Eagles. They play in about an hour. I'm recording this at night. This will be posted the following day. But Also, Brad, he's got to find a way to keep guys on the team that are going to be free agents either this year or in the coming years. Guys like St. Brown, Sewell, Goff, Jonah Jackson. Hopefully, I trust Brad will get deals done with those guys. Those are the core of our offense right there. Especially Goff, Sewell, St. Brown. Like, we got to find ways to keep those guys. I think we could be okay without Jonah Jackson, but he is a phenomenal guard when he does play. He's been a little banged up this year, but when he does play, he's one of the league's best. The other guy who's going to be in charge of sustaining this success for the long term, Dan Campbell, obviously. He's going to be tested probably more than Brad Holmes in a way that, again, we have not seen here in Detroit in a long time, by possibly losing both coordinators in Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Both of those guys have had interview requests from multiple teams. We'll see what happens, but it's not easy to replace coordinators, especially two coordinators in one season. But again, this is all in hopes that both of these coordinators are getting Super Bowl rings before they decide to move on. And this is just the price of winning. This is the price of having a good football team. Is other teams look at it, they look at your success, they want to pluck from your tree, and they want to bring your culture building ways that Dan Campbell has instilled to their own franchises. So we're going to be tested. On top of all that, you got to keep guys. Dan's got to keep guys buying in. He's got to keep guys buying in for a long time. That's not easy to do, especially the longer he's here. It's easy when you're a coach like Bill Belichick with, if you don't want guys to buy in, you just take them down the hall and show them the trophy room with, multiple Super Bowls. That's how you get guys to buy in. You show them Super Bowl rings, Super Bowl trophies. How do you not buy in? So hopefully, Dan, we get that ring this year. And what better selling pitch than to say, hey, you don't believe in me? Here's my Super Bowl ring to prove I know what I'm doing as head coach. And I think he's one of the best. I honestly think, real quick, he locked up Coach of the Year by winning that playoff game. Anyone else wins that award this year, it's absolute highway robbery, and I'll fucking riot. It's got to be Dan's. After that, Stefanski, Steichen, all those guys, phenomenal years. But I'm looking at Dan Campbell. That's his award. There's no way the NFL doesn't give it to him. But like I said, this is just the price of winning. As other teams are going to see what you're doing, they're going to want to come to your top guys. Your top guys are going to be your coordinators. They're going to try to pluck them from you, and you've got to find ways to replace them. So, like I said, this all stems from just a thought in my head, something that I heard on ESPN. Like I said, again, I'm not 100% sure it was Rex Ryan, but I think it was. It just kind of sat with me all day. And I was just kind of thinking, what if the Detroit Lions are for real? What if they are NFC contenders for the next 10, 15 years? What's it going to take for that to happen? Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, two guys that have done phenomenal job. Fast turnaround, 3 years. Here we are with a playoff win. Leave it in the comments down below. Let me know how you're feeling. Obviously, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, you're a fan of both guys. But hit that like button. And if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, guys. We'll be back later this afternoon with some more content. Enjoy the rest of your day.